Just a reminder, today's conference is being recorded.
Okay, hello everybody to this XStepCafe session, live session. And we're waiting for some more people to join maybe, but Amit, you had some remarks or questions, so go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I was just talking about the client here called BD Pharma, and they don't have any process industry implementation currently. What they have is discrete industry for last 10 years, and they have a new implementation going on right now, and they were very much interested in process industry implementing it, the PI sheet especially. And I think they started with the traditional way of implementing the PI sheet, using the characteristics and all the definitions and stuff. And I think last year they got in touch with you. I think you had a couple of conversations with them, and you suggested using XSteps. So then they changed their mind. They wanted to go with XSteps, and that's what I'm doing here. So last 3 or 4 months have been like, talking with the client, showing some stuff in XSteps. So just wanted to share with you like my background, and my interest in XSteps.
Okay. So any particular problems or questions you'd like to discuss, or?
Yeah, there have been few problems here and there, but I've been good so far in finding the solution. No showstoppers as such. We'll need some customization. We still are gathering a lot of requirements right now. So some of the requirements may need, custom solutions, custom function modules, generation scopes, and so on and so forth. However, I was interested in knowing one particular thing. Now, in the traditional way, we had something called phase sequence. It was a process instruction category 7, I think.
Yes.
So is there anything equivalent like that in XSteps? Or people, in this forum, has anybody used it?
Yeah, we have discussed this sometime already, but no problem. This is a minor gap, indeed, which is not working as such with XSteps. So these type 7 instruction categories, they don't exist there. We had sort of started, or the development has started some other things that should have been much better, but it didn't go through development. So we have sort of a gap here, right? However, there are things to come around such obstacles, and I'd like to point out to you the session number 4, where I showed to you the weighing scenario, and there I demonstrated how to do it with the use of some custom function modules. So there, just in a nutshell, I had a function module that was called on every phase. I had put it in and called on an event, document logged in or document saved, and so every time this function module then checked, okay, this is my phase, what are my predecessor phases, and then it checked in the process order actually what the confirmation status of these phases were, and then it decided, okay, all my predecessors have been confirmed, so I can set a certain status to sort of okay or 1 or whatever, and then I have several commands that then lock or unlock that step. And so my example there works only because make use of the command lock or unlock step. Works only if I have only one signature at the end of the phase, because that defines sort of phase equals a process step. So thereby I can catch it. However, you can also do it with maybe finer granularity there. But unfortunately, there's no standard way to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I listened to a few, like recordings earlier too, and I think somebody pointed out this too. So yeah, but I think in this way, I mean, like I can see, like I've not worked on it like in details right now, but I can see one dependency which is like we go and look back at the process order, and like we see whether the phase has been confirmed or not. So we are the dependency is we are expecting the process messages to be processed already before we move on to the next phase, right?
Sure.
So there are certain dependencies. I think we need to look into all these finer details when we design this custom object. But that's great. I just wanted to clarify and confirm that there is no standard way to do it. So
Yes.
that's great.
Yes. Okay. Right. So I don't know. I had to move over from the Wednesday to Friday time, and I did post it on my blog. So I don't know whether not everybody has sort of caught it, or whether nobody has time on Friday afternoon or morning, depending on whatever. So who's John? Maddie?
Yeah, hi Arnie. This is Maddie here.
Hi Maddie, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm fine as well. So where are you from? So which company are you from?
Yeah, I'm from IBM India.
All right.
Yeah.
One of my IBM colleagues there. Okay. So I was just sort of thinking whether Friday is a good day, or whether everybody is busy on Friday, or is already in the weekend. I don't know. So usually I have more participants on this cafe, but well, anyhow, I have prepared two things there in my cafe today. But maybe Maddie, if you want to address things, you can go ahead if you want, or. Just,
I'm fairly new to XSteps basically.
Okay.
So I very recently got introduced to this XStepCafe as well. And right now, for an implementation, we're planning to use XSteps in discrete manufacturing scenario.
Oh, great. So do you mind telling me which customer this is, or?
Yeah, it's the customer is Ratnamani Pipes and Tubes. They're the steel pipes and tube manufacturing company.
Okay. Great.
So
it's an Indian company?
It's an Indian company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's an Indian company, and they manufacture stainless steel tubes and carbon steel tubes and pipes.
All right.
For various applications like heat exchangers and boiler parts and irrigation pipelines, etc. So here, we have a lot of production planning processes, production process and quality management process like non-destructive testing and a fair amount of destructive testing as well. So a lot of parameters needs to be captured in each of these testing processes.
Okay. And you plan to do that with the manual PI sheet? Is that true?
Using the browser-based PI sheets, yeah.
Yes, great. Okay, cool. So I happened to visit a customer this week, also from mill industry segment. They are manufacturing aluminium foils. They're also using now XSteps with production orders, so also with discrete. However, they use it for transferring parameters to an external system. So they're not using the electronic work instruction. But that's good to hear that you have a discrete implementation there. So great. And any feedback from the customer? How do they already know about this functionality, or are you just planning to?
No, we just started it actually.
Okay.
So we are in the initial phase of solutioning. So we just started, and customer is not fully aware about the XSteps as of now. So we are still setting up the PA sheets, and we are working out on this, and soon we'll be sharing the same with the customer as well.
Okay, great.
And the one thing is, we are using variant configuration as well. That's where we face little problems as well.
Was it you that posted the comment on the topic discussion?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's too specific, actually, I know, but I didn't find any other place to share that.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know whether you've captured my answer there. It's quite short. I definitely agree that this shouldn't be the case as you describe it. So please try to raise an OSS message as soon as possible, best from customer side, or I don't know. Because that shouldn't be the case. I totally agree. If there's if you have set, so to the audience maybe, if you have set a context to an operation there, in this case explicitly, and then these operations sort of vanish because of the variant configuration, then you shouldn't have these X steps there remaining in the work instruction on that operation 0, because that's, I think, what is happening. Is it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So they should just vanish. That should be the case.
Yeah.
So I think we have to think about it, and I think that should be fixed. But we need an OSS message for such things.
All right.
Okay.
I will raise a OSS note.
Great. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Is there any specific agenda for today's session?
Yeah, I've got 2 topics. One of the topics is actually one other comment in the topics discussion. That's also to encourage people to post something there in the blog on this comment in the topic discussion page. So I try to cover those things if possible. That's how to work with alternative units. Unfortunately, that guy is obviously not now on the line, but no matter, I will talk about it anyway. And the other thing is, I just briefly want to demonstrate about this pilot node, which is available for having a cross-plant XStep repository.
All right.
That's what I wanted to show briefly as well. And let's see how far we go, and if we finish early, that's also okay. Okay,
sure.
So then I'll make a small marker here in the comment chat, because I found out that in the recording, if I make this comment in the chat, there's a mark in the recording so that you can sort of jump to a certain mark there, which is quite convenient. So first thing I'd like to do is cover this topic with alternative units of measures, and I need to share my screen for that, of course. And okay, right. So you should. That's not. Yeah, I should see now my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Great. Okay. So I'll. Sorry, I was disturbed. Let's see. I happen to prepare something. Hold on. I'll just find my orders I have prepared there. say 4 reservation items here in this case. Then I need to create some output here, some output parameter values, starting with material, and that's it. Okay. Now for also for a variation here, I'll do it in a different way. I have an output as a long text here. Use the fragment HTML. So that's the quantity base, and I'm using X quantity. So these are the placeholders for the parameters, and XUM. That's first. And now I'm just pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V again, so to copy these, and I'm just adding the 2 here. So you see that's quite easy to quickly build up this thing. Okay, I'll just store it briefly. And okay. Right, so here we are. I'll create a test control recipe, and what did I do wrong? What to do when not using XSteps, and I tried and searched for ways, and there's unfortunately no characteristic available for making that the distinction. So what I then had in mind was a different approach, and I just show it briefly. So this is the I think this order here, the same material. I'm showing it also with XSteps, but with a way that would also work with standard process instructions. So what I did is I created a custom function module here, which uses tabular parameters. So that's the call-up of this function module, and I've prepared parameters here, and when you use process instructions, of course, you don't have these parameters. You have to define variables inside this instruction, which is the table. So every variable that you define inside a table is a tabular variable, which you can then use alike in this, like I show it here with this function module. So what did I do? I have certain tabular parameters. I name them with T underscore for sake of better readability. And I have the order, which I evaluate, like this. And let's have a look how it looks like. I have it already here. Maybe I just create a new, PI sheet. Here we go. So here, this is how the table looks like initially. And so it always comes up with one line pre-filled, so that's also important for coding in the function module. And when I press this button, it takes the order, looks up the reservation table, looks up all the quantities, and then fills the table. Okay. Yeah. So in the sequence of the reservation table, here you have then the same look. So you have all these values as I have described it in the other example with XSteps. Yeah. All right. Maybe a quick look into the function module. Maybe I'll just do it again here. You see in the debugger, you see what's happening here. So I've got these tables here. I think I have described that in one of my XStepCafe sessions, how to work with these tabular structures. So you need to first define a structure with one value here. Maybe I can also show it later. Then I delete all table line entries because the table has already one line filled, so just to clean it. And then I just do the thing here with the reservation table, and then I append all these values. It's pretty straightforward, no big deal, but you have, of course, to know what to do there. And maybe just check this here. So these are the table definitions, and these are the types here. So double-clicking here. So this is a structure. It has to have one component. I usually name them value, and this is the structure for characteristic table parameters. And I usually also use one with numeric. I use some very wide field like decimal, 30 in length and 30 in decimals. Okay, so that's what I use here. Any questions on this from the audience live here?
No.
All right. I've seen there's another visitor here. I think it's Doug, is it?
Yeah, Arnie, I jumped on. Doug Norton from Forest Pharmaceuticals.
Hi, Doug. Good to hear you again. How are you?
Doing just fine, sir.
Great. Good to hear. Any suggestions on topics today, Doug? Or are you just listening?
I'm just listening.
All right. Okay. Fine for me. Okay. Let's have the motor. Okay. And obviously you can do a lot of different things with this functions with tabular values. So you can really analyze a complete table, also of course with input values. You can aggregate things, make up another table with maybe maybe aggregated values or something like that. So you can do pretty much things here with this technique. And of course, I mean, you can, and that was also, I think, one of the questions from the discussion here. How about updating material quantities in the PI sheet? So, of course, if you have a function module that you can use, you can also press it or update it also during your work on the PI sheet to have different values based on changes, maybe. Another thing I'd like to point out is that you can also call that function module on an event like document generated. So that would mean it would initially fill this table on the sending of the control recipe. Okay.
Arnie, this is Amit here.
Yes.
I had a quick probably comment or something I wanted to discuss regarding these function modules. Since we're talking a lot today about the function modules, I was with a client before. What they wanted to do was create the purchase order from the PI sheet for the components, and get the number. Okay. Now there was a limitation when we implemented that. There was a limitation from SAP that when you use these function modules directly from the PI sheet, it cannot do the commit work. There used to be some short dump, right? And and SAP suggested a workaround too, that time from the node. So what I wanted to check with other people in this forum is, did they recently implemented that, or did SAP come up with that?
Actually, you can do it. You have to know how. So you have to start. There's a call up, and I don't know whether I find it by heart. It's something with starting new task. So you have to call a function module starting new task. And if you do that, then you will be able to commit things. Of course, then you decouple that process, and you cannot expect immediately that this thing has happened, right? Because I think you immediately go back to the PI sheet, and maybe that function you called then still runs, right? So if you want to have immediate feedback also in the PI sheet itself, then you might need another sort of a refresh button that checks the status. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I remember that there was a node. The node describes everything in detail. Like what is a workaround, like you mentioned. Starting another session, right? So I just wanted to check. Yeah.
And I did that also before, yes, because when probably you have seen the session number 4 with the weigh scale example. There I checked for status of equipments, but I also updated the status. For example, there was these bins I've used for during the weighing process, and when I used the bin, it actually also set the status of that equipment to in use. And there I've used this technique.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right, so let's move over to the next topic, which is, let's just show you that post I had there. That's about the cross-plant XStep repository. Just today I updated it slightly. So there's a pilot node available, and for those who don't know what a pilot node is, it's something that is not generally released to all customers. So you cannot download it unless you are development or support releases you, so gives you permission to. So what you have to do is you have to create an OSS message to request this. So you have to create this message and say, okay, I'm interested in this pilot node here. This one, that's for the cross-plant XStep repository, and then you need to proceed with that. What I wanted to show is briefly how this looks like. I've briefly also described it here. So just wanted to show you what you have to do. So let's just start this sort of a customizing transaction, which is a pretty simple one. Of course, not a test run. So this is something you have to do. You have to set a leading plant. Because normally the standard repository is plant dependent, and this time you have there won't be a plant which you have to enter then, and you have to specify that leading plant for a certain purpose, and that is because you need to know which plant-specific objects the system needs to propose to you, and these objects are. Let me just briefly. I need to call up another system here to show this to you. Okay. So this is the plant-dependent repository, cross-plant repository, and for example, I create a new one here. So the first thing, for example, is here when you select this tab here, destination, then the system will first of all propose these generic destinations, which are external systems and work instruction. But you can, if you want, you can also choose from these specific destinations, and these are plant specific, right? So on one hand, I don't recommend to really do this in the repository, because if you do that, then you don't have any flexibility in the recipe or the routing to really change something. Yeah? But you have to keep in mind that if you're using the cross-plant repository, this is something you have to look out for, and it will show you then on the destination of the leading plant. Okay. And that also, of course, means if you intend to use them here in the repository, then these must exist also in every plant. So these destinations, they don't have to be really the same, but they have to have the same name at least, same two-digit name, and I think maybe also these names. They could probably differ in terms of what kind of signature strategy you need for certain process steps or something, but at least this should be similar. And the same is true, so let's just put it this way. The same is true for when you create a process message, because process message categories are also plant dependent, and when you double click here and you press F4 here, then you get a list of process messages, and you see here that the plant is so the leading plant in this case is just one, and you have to choose from these. Again, these process message categories have to exist in every plant if you intend to use them in the repository. But of course, it could be, and the characteristics also have to be the same. So if you choose, for example, this one, you see that there are certain characteristics, and of course, if they are differing from plant to plant, this is not a good thing. However, there might be distinctions like different destinations in one plant or the other, maybe. So that might be some sort of flexibility you have here. But I would say generally these should also really be the same. You should be having the same process message categories here, also in your plants, I would say.
So Arnie, I guess the understanding here is that the goal here is to have an XStep repository for all your plants instead of having
exactly, because that's maybe I should have explained in the first place. Of course, if you have plant-dependent repositories, and you have something like, for example, a material list or something, which is really very generic. You have to create it in every plant, and if you change something, you have to do the change in every plant. And that's, of course, quite time-consuming. Okay. And so this pilot node really helps you if you want to roll out certain setups throughout your plants.
So you could have a repository that's for generic for all plants, and then in each plant you could have specific XSteps to support every specific plant, but there could be kind of
that's also an important thing. Thanks for mentioning this. What happens with the plant-specific repositories? So once you have activated this, you will only get the cross-plant repository in the list of choice in your recipes or routings. So the old ones will not be visible anymore. However, if the old ones that you have already assigned to your recipes or routings, they are still working. But you cannot just change it to another standard XStep of that plant-specific repository. You can only switch to a cross-plant standard XStep. So my recommendation there would be to try to export and import your usual stuff, so the standard XSteps from your plant-specific repositories into that cross-plant repository, and there maybe you just also create folders that reflect your plants. So if you have any really plant-specific stuff, then you just put it in those folders, and then you might have folders for really generic cross-plant stuff, and then you can use them there. That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
So, what do you think?
I only have a small number of plants, so I wouldn't worry about it.
But of course, I mean, if you're a global company with a lot of plants, then this is really comes very handy.
Yes.
Okay, so that was this is what I wanted to demonstrate. Let's make another break here. Okay. One other thing I wanted maybe to point out while you're probably watching this offline is just look at this web session overview and just call up one of these the last ones here. Wanted to show you what you have to do to really enter inside one of these recorded sessions to a specific point in time. And I have only started this, I think, 3 or 4 times now. So the old ones won't have this. But so here's the recording of the last session, and you have this button here, archive transcript, and if you press here, you see that there are certain marks, and you can then just press on one of those marks, and then you're jumping ahead. And that was there. I just switched between my small sub rooms I have here in this conferencing solution, but I found out that it's easier to make these marks in the comment in the chat. They will also be visible here. Right, so that's quite convenient. Okay. Any other comments? Anything else you want to ask me, discuss?
I noticed whenever you looked at had your PI sheet open that you had the enhancement turned on for PDF printing.
PDF printing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
We turned that on. Yeah, not so good.
I know. I'm very sorry about it.
I saw that.
I found out.
Boy, that's really gonna be great. Boy, we turned it on. It's like, well. So.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it's even better to just print the PI sheet as like normally, and then use a PDF printer
Yeah.
Even better, because the print PDF, and we didn't just forget about it, but we had technical restrictions in this Adobe functionality we have inside ERP, which didn't allow us to capture the difference, for example, between simple process instructions and grouped simple process instructions. So that means that a table which consists out of grouped process instructions will not look like a table. It will look like simple process instructions, one after another, and that's of course very not satisfying. So
Okay.
So I don't generally I don't recommend just bother about that.
We turned it on and looked at it and said, it's not going anywhere. It's only in our sandbox.
However, if anybody is interested in maybe another way to have a nice printout of the PI sheet, during my time as a consultant, I have created a consulting solution which uses the Apache formatting objects. So because the XML there in here of the PI sheet is an XML, and the Apache formatting objects, for those who don't know it, offer a Java program that converts a certain XML to PDF. Yeah? And this special XML, you can, it's a sort of a language if you want, and you can. And what I did there is I created a style sheet that converts the XML of the PI sheet to that specific XML for the formatting objects to create a PDF. And there we also create some wrappers, some function modules that allow you to sort of print directly from ERP to a PDF. So whoever is interested, I can deliver the contact. Just send me a mail and I'll just forward it to. And of course that's a consulting service which has to be paid. But yeah.
Okay.
So.
Hi, Arnie. Go ahead.
Yes?
Yeah, Arnie, this is Amit here. I had a couple of questions. Now, I think in one of your presentations, Boost the PI sheet, sometime given in 2007, I think, there are certain screenshots of the PI sheet. There are certain LED indicators, in the PI sheet, green, red, and a couple other things.
Yes.
Now, is there any enhancement available to activate those?
Well, actually, there is one enhancement pack, which is, I think, in 3, which offers some lights that indicate the certain status of the signatures in the PI sheet. But what I showed there is something else. I did it by a style sheet enhancement, and you can also see it in my famous 4th session with the weighing scenario where I have this demonstrated as well. And what I did there basically is I diverted an output of a certain parameter in the style sheet to an image, and that image I made dependent on the value of that output. Sounds a little bit complicated. It was not that easy to accomplish that, but so I had to do some Java scripting as well, and of course style sheet enhancements. Yeah.
Oh, very nice, very interesting. Because I spent a lot of time thinking, like, it was there in the presentation. Maybe I'm missing something in SAP.
No. And I always try to point out very clearly what during my demos what is here some specific thing I created or I tweaked with a custom style sheet.
Very interesting, though. Very interesting. It looked very good too. I mean,
Yeah, I think Nigel saw that demo, I think, Arnie, and he's done some very nice things here with us about.
Yeah, Nigel is also a crack, huh?
Oh gosh, yeah, he's got red lights and green lights, and we got visual indicators, because we were sending back warning message to the operators, but they tend to ignore warning message. But you put a big old red light in front of them, it's very obvious that this didn't pass our validation. So it's been very nice.
Yes, that's true. I have started a little series of style sheet tips and tricks in the blog, so you might have noticed thing with the table column headers not moving out of when you scroll.
Oh yeah.
Maybe in the future I might come also to a point where I show this, but that's also of course one of the more complex things, and I'm not sure when I will do that. There are some other smaller things I'd probably do first.
We had a situation the other day where we were testing, trying to simplify our PI sheet, and Nigel actually went to the style sheet and said instead of an output on the PI sheet, I'm sorry, instead of an input for the PI sheet through a style sheet, he actually said this column gets it's an input variable, and this one makes it an output variable, so it's grayed out, so the operator can't put in. And we're trying to put user-specific instructions for making a product. You know, the charge, the mixer for, and then every one of those lines describes how to make the product. Well, some lines we want input, some lines we don't out. Some lines we want input, other lines we don't want input in that same column, table column. So he was using the style sheet to actually turn off input and output variable with the same process instruction, which I thought was very, very nice.
Quite nice. Yeah. I mean, once you've opened that box of Pandora, I always call it. Yeah. Of course, you can do magical things. That's really amazing. Yeah. But of course, you need to always consider that you are changing something in the style sheet. And if SAP is issuing bug fixes on new style sheet, you really need to be able to take that new style sheet where maybe bug fixes are inside, and you have to then include all your modifications there inside again.
Right.
So that's the game, of course. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do.
Okay.
All right. So. Anything else?
Arne, this is Hari here.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just like to know, is it possible to bring the F4 help for any field within the PA sheet? Like, say, for example, I want to search the batches for a material within the plant. Is it possible to do that kind of things without any enhancement in PA sheet?
Well, there has been a customer presentation from Abbott where Peter has showed what they did there. So there is a possibility to do that. You can, and that's attached to the characteristic somehow. I've never did it myself, so I'm not an expert on that one. But obviously there are also other people who have that knowledge, and It is possible. Yeah, you can do that with inside the characteristic. You can define something there, and then you can do that inside the PI sheet.
Yeah, I went through.
You're asking for an F4 drop down to get the batches that are available in your plant from a PI sheet?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, what Peter or what they did at Abbott was even more. I mean, they had, for example, somewhere in the PI sheet a table where they entered materials and batches, something, and then they had somewhere else they had another table where they had this input field and then they could press F4, and then they got only the selection of I don't know, batches or materials that was entered inside the PI sheet as a because nothing else had made sense in that context. So that was also possible there. I think probably they did store it in a Z table intermediately. I don't know how they did it.
All right. I guess I went through those web session by Abbott. It's more of like a hit list which gives a specific list. Whereas I was looking more like I need to have the standard F4 help, which how a user would see in SAP.
The standard, yeah.
With various options of where he can choose whichever he likes. I was looking something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's easy to do or to do at all. I don't know.
All right.
Sorry.
That's okay. I had to look for some baddies or enhancement to do that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. If not, I think I have the next meeting in a couple of minutes, so I don't mind finishing early now.
Very good.
Okay, so then I wish you a good day and a nice weekend following.
Thank you, Arnie. You have a nice weekend too.
Okay.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Arnie.
Goodbye to you all.
Yeah.